Hello, friends, and welcome to our September 2024 astrological outlook video. My name is Jenny Sellers, and I am the creator of True North Empowerment. And it is my pleasure every month to provide for you insight into the astrological energies that will influence our month ahead. So let's dive right in. Y'all, September is a big month. I know I said that last month for August. August was really kind of preparing us to step into this most, in my opinion, dynamic part of the year. September and October are going to be very, very big months for us energetically, astrologically, emotionally. There are a lot of moving pieces into what's happening in those skies above. So let's take a look. First and foremost, happy birthday, Virgo. So, as of the end of August and most of the way through September, we are in Virgo season. Just as a recap, Virgo is the sign that is dedicated to organization, to keeping routines, to maybe focusing on our health a little bit more, as well as our service to others. Virgos generally have a large component of serving those around them. This comes in the form of many different avenues, but if you are a Virgo, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, all of those themes will be a big part of September for us. I also always like to point this out, how this influences us here in the physical world. It is no coincidence that September, the end of August, is the time of the year each year where we really do feel like getting back down to business. Kids are going back to school. We're getting back into our normal routines. Routines are changing. And we're really focused on putting structures around our time, our energy, and our efforts. And that is very Virgo-esque. There is no coincidence. All of what we talk about here that happens in the skies and the zodiac signs and the planetary alignments and all of that is truthfully reflected back to us here physically. And I love making those connections for people. It really helps them to kind of open their eyes. So, on that note, let's dive into the month of September. Whew, I'm going to try to get through it. There's so much. So, to start with, we're starting right on September 1st. We have Pluto going direct, or sorry, Pluto is still retrograde. The reason why I'm bringing this up on September 1st is because it re-enters the sign of Capricorn. So this is a big deal because Pluto spends about 20 years, maybe 15 to 20 years in any given sign. So since 2008, it has been in Capricorn. And that's a really long time. When we think back to 2008, we think of the financial crisis, and all of that. And that is very Capricornian-esque in nature. Capricorns are very dedicated and diligent about their finances and about their resources. And so when we think about when Pluto entered Capricorn back in 2008, we think about what happened financially to the world. Um, it has been over several months now, in Aquarius. So Pluto has just recently changed signs, into Aquarius, and it was sometime last year when this actually happened for the first time. Since then, it's been doing this retrograde dance back and forth, into and out of Capricorn, back into Aquarius, and this retrograde for Pluto is the last time Pluto will return to Capricorn before it enters Aquarius for good on November 19th. So, right now, between September 1st and November 19th, we are ending a phase and cycle. A large phase and cycle is coming to a close on November 19th, but that last little bit of work that Pluto has to do in Capricorn is going to be happening between now and November. So just keep in mind, Pluto being the planet of powerful transformation and change, of kind of disrupting things, kind of turning over, upsetting the apple cart. It's going to be doing its final little dance in Capricorn, starting September 1st. So endings and beginnings are afoot, if you will. And just as a preview of what we're talking about here, when Pluto enters Aquarius again on November 19th, it will stay in Aquarius. It's not going to go back into Capricorn. It will stay in Aquarius until around 2043 or 2044. So we are stepping into or preparing to step into a very long cycle of transformation and change into all things Aquarius. We'll talk more about that in November. So September 1st. September 2nd, we have a new moon in Virgo. This is where all of those Virgo themes that I spoke about at the top of the video come into play. It is the time to set intentions around creating new routines, around maybe changing things or looking at your health differently, around providing service to others, serving your fellow human, your fellow friends, your neighbors. All of these things get an extra infusion of energy around the 2nd. So be on the lookout for that. And then on the 4th, Mars enters Cancer. So we have the planet of action entering the sign of our emotions, of our home and family lives. We may be feeling a little bit more inclined around the 4th to take action in those areas on whatever is happening there for you. On September 9th, we've got Mercury going into Virgo. So we have new ideas, new thoughts, new inspiration kind of from the intentions we set on the 2nd with that new moon. Mercury is all about communication and about sharing our ideas and forming our ideas around certain things that are Virgo related. This is an interesting time, though, because this is happening when the sun opposes Pisces. And it opposes Saturn in Pisces. And so Saturn, being the timekeeper, is currently residing in this watery space, this emotional energy where it's not always quite comfortable in Pisces, but it's about the sun is kind of shining a light on what we're supposed to be doing in our worlds, how we're supposed to be showing up, what is the task that we are supposed to be taking right now. The sun is going to be shining its bright light on the opposite side of the zodiac from Saturn and Pisces. So just be on the lookout around the 9th for some course correction kind of popping up, some ideas about what it is that you should be doing, what Saturn wants you to be achieving. Then we get into the 3rd week of the month, and this is a big week. Here's why. Mars, the planet of action, will be squaring the lunar nodes. And so the lunar nodes are what keep us either held in our comfort zone or pushing us outside of that towards what it is that we're supposed to be achieving in this lifetime. And so with Mars, the planet of action, forming this tension point with the nodes, we could be feeling a little bit confused or challenged by what it is that feels good to us versus what it is we should be doing, where we should be going. So be on the lookout for that around the 15th, mid-month. But then this is the big premiere of eclipse season. On the 17th, we have a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces. And this is a big deal for a lot of different reasons. But most notably, it is the first eclipse in the Pisces Virgo axis. And so for the last year and a half, we have been in a time of eclipses happening in Aries and Libra. And so we've been experiencing these big changes and these big shifts and these big theme changes, if you will, in the areas of me versus we. And so we've been in this axis of me and we. And what I mean by that is over the last 18 months, we've been looking at our own personal needs as they relate to our relationships. That's the Aries Libra axis, what you need versus what your relationships need. The eclipses being a big time of transition, turnover, and change, sometimes swift out of the blue. We've been dealing with 18 months of those big changes in our needs versus our relationship needs, our needs versus how we show up in relationships. How are we serving others? How are we being served? Right? So all of those things have been changing quite a bit over the last 18 months. This eclipse on September 17th is the first in a shift change to a new axis of Pisces, where this lunar eclipse is happening, and Virgo. So Pisces is all about the ethereal world. It's our connection between this world and the next. It is a heavily water sign. It is the last water sign of the zodiac, whereas Virgo is an earth sign. And so we've got that emotional component with Pisces, and we have this earthing and grounding component with Virgo and all the other themes we've talked about Virgo in this video. So this is the first in a new axis. The following eclipse that will be in October is going to be, I believe, it's still in that me we axis. So this is the preview of what we're going to be walking through eclipse wise in 2025. So just be like, make mental notes about all of this. The other thing that's really powerful about this eclipse is everything that's happening around it. Eclipses in general are like I said, big times of changes, of transformation, of change. They just naturally are. They get us on the right course to where what we're supposed to be achieving in this lifetime. And it's rare that eclipses also have all of this other stuff happening around them. Let me read through it for those of you who might be astrology connoisseurs. This will mean something, but I'll try to break it down a little bit too. This eclipse is happening as Saturn in Pisces opposes Mercury in Virgo. So Saturn, the timekeeper in this ethereal water, connection between the non-physical and the physical, because Saturn's all about the physical, is opposing the thought process and the idea formation planet in the sign of planning. And so we've got this like two completely different energies happening at the time of this eclipse as well. It's also happening right smack dab on top of Neptune, which is kind of a shadowy planet. It dictates and deems over some of the shadow sides of the self. It's also a very it rules Pisces in modern astrology. So everything we talk about with Pisces is Neptune as well. And so it's this watery kind of intangible connection to the non-physical. And so this eclipse is happening right on top of Neptune in Pisces at 28 degrees, which is the end of Pisces. So there's this big shift of endings and new beginnings, of approaching endings, of a new phase and cycle kind of being brought forward. It's also happening while, like I said, Mars is squaring those nodes. So that tension point between our comfort zones, as well as where we're supposed to be headed and what we're supposed to be doing in this lifetime, while Chiron, which is the asteroid that's tied to our deepest wounds and patterns, opposes Venus and Libra, which is all about our relationships. So what are the old wounds and patterns that we're trying to let go of, that we're feeling this push-pull against as it pertains to our relationships? And it is crazy to have an eclipse happening on top of all that stuff. So to kind of break that down one more time, we've got this big eclipse happening while timekeeper Saturn is opposing thought formation and routines and serving others, on top of Neptune, this dream-oriented planet, and as it sits at the end of a phase and cycle, while the planet of action is squaring where we're comfortable and where we're supposed to be headed, and while our deepest wounds and patterns are being pushed and pulled in our relationships. I mean, come on. Take it easy on us, planets. Like, come on, really. So just know that this month, everything from last month and everything that's happening this month is so powerfully charged. And it is rare for eclipses to happen with all of this stuff happening around it. So just be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with others. Please, please, please be gentle with others. Because everybody is feeling this in a different way. I was actually at a vendor's market over the weekend. And interestingly, again, this full moon lunar eclipse is happening in Pisces. Every single person who chose to have a mini astrology reading done that day was a Pisces. What does that tell me? It tells me that this is a big transformational time for those who are Pisces or have Pisces placements in their charts. If you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out. I would love to sit down with you to look into that. So that is everything happening mid-month. And then as the month wraps up on the 22nd, we step out of Virgo season into Libra season. So relationships will be at the forefront. I have no doubt that this will be tied to some of that eclipse energy that we were just talking about. And then on the Venus also moves into Scorpio on that day. So the planet of self-worth and self-value is kind of entering the shadowy side of Scorpio. Where do we find our self-worth and our self-value in intimacy and relationships? Where do we need to let things fall away in order to make space for newness there? And how do we spend our money? What are maybe some of the money issues are changing hands here around the 22nd. And then on the 26th, we have Mercury moving into Libra. So really kind of getting a second infusion of Libra energy at the end of the month. So take very, very good care of yourselves. Be extra gentle with yourself. Be extra gentle with others. Know that the emotional upwelling that you might be experiencing during this time, everybody is walking through similar energy, just with a different phase or a different lens on. So carry that forward with you. I hope you have a as gentle as possible September. And reach out if I can be of service to you. This is a wonderful time for Reiki, either virtually or in person here in Williamsburg, Virginia, where I do all of my work. Reiki works wonderfully on Zoom as well. And so it is a powerful, powerful healing modality during times of overwhelm and stress. And I am here for you. I would love to meet with you. I actually have new availability on Sundays now. I have a day open on the weekends to commit to my clients. So please, please, please reach out. Have a wonderful September. I'll see you soon.